It's true, bamboo bedding is dreamy to sleep on. That's why Quince aptly named their Bamboo Dream Quilt Set. Coming in 12 colors, you're absolutely going to love this quilt and 2 shams set. Starting at the softest of pinks and going all the way to a dark navy. It's going to be perfect for anyone's room. Your own, your guest rooms, your kids' rooms, maybe even back to the dorm bedding. Quince has everything you need to elevate your space, from bedding to soft organic towels, airy curtains, and premium kitchen tools designed for everyday use. And of course, as you know, Quince has gorgeous cashmere and other wardrobe essentials. And the best part, Quince's products are half the cost of similar brands. They partner with top artisans and cut out the cost of the middleman, passing the savings on to us. Thank you, Quince. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, so you can feel good about your purchases from Quince. Elevate your space with home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT.
Is your home missing this? Hi, I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks.
Before we get started today, I wanted to let you know about something kind of exciting. If you have a quick decorating question that you need answered, here is your chance to get our expert advice. Leave a review of Decorating Tips and Tricks on Apple Podcasts, and in the last sentence, include your question. We'll answer it in an upcoming show. Questions accepted through the month of May.
Today we're talking about the color that every room needs, and you might be surprised to find out what it is.
Decorators might not agree on a lot, but throughout the ages, decorators all seem to agree that every room needs a touch of black.
And I think it's right. I think it is good because have you seen the rooms where everything is white and it just doesn't have the weight to it? It feels like it's floating away. So I'm going to agree.
Any degree of black that you can incorporate into a room is going to do so much for it. Why and what and how. We're going to run through all of that today. I even have some specific items to discuss. It's a really daring color, so some people are intimidated about using black or just feel like it might not go with their palette. Even if you're doing a pastel palette or a completely neutral palette or a much lighter palette, black is going to be able to play along with any of those combinations of colors. It is really such a neutral, it's kind of a backdrop, and it's going to make those other colors and those other items look better for being in the same room with it.
There are varying degrees of, you can go with a room where everything in the room is black and white or all the walls are black. That's the one extreme. Or you can go the other direction where there's just a few small accessories that are black. So there are varying degrees of how much you want to put in the room. And I would say it has a lot to do with the room that we're talking about and the style of the room. That's going to dictate how much you can add.
So here's some reasons why you want to incorporate black. Well, it's very chic. It's classic and contemporary, so it's really versatile. It can work with just about any style. It's going to add weight to a room, which is something Anita referenced earlier. And it lends itself to any color scheme, like I mentioned. And it's this punctuation that is going to make the other pieces look better. And it's just a little bold. So it's something that adds interest to the room.
Oh, it definitely does. And your eye, you might not even be aware of it being in the room, but it just feels right. We've kind of hinted at this, but if you have a contemporary room, I think you can use more black in the room. Or if you want kind of one of those moody dark rooms, you could add a lot more to the room.
So I was thinking about my living room as I was getting ready for this episode. I have a lot of black in my house. It's primarily black and white with wood tones and greens and some yellow, some of that ochre yellow that I love, which is kind of the ochre yellow / antiqued brass. So that's my palette. And thinking about in particular my living room, I have 3 big black elements in my room. The sofa is black. I have a black Barcelona, well, it's a Barcelona-esque chaise. And then I have a big black bookcase at the other end. So in my narrow and long living room, each of the thirds, the three sections that I've kind of broken it up into, each has a very substantial piece of furniture that's dark and is black. And it really, really works. And having the three pieces, so it's not just one black piece on one end of the room and the whole other end of the room is light and bright. I have the three pieces, so it gets that cohesiveness and I have that flow going through the room where you're seeing the black again. And of course, I'll have little other pieces, maybe a little vase or something, or a picture frame, or the spine of a book that's black as well. But these are three major pieces, and it really works well. And until I added that black bookcase at the far end, the room just did not seem balanced to me because the black sofa was adding much more weight to the one side of the room. So when you're using black, you're going to want to incorporate it in ways throughout the room, in large or small ways. So I wouldn't have just one black piece. That would be my personal opinion. I would have a few elements in the room. What do you think about that, Anita? Could you think you could get away with just one black element?
What's an element? Are we talking about a picture frame or are we talking about a sofa? To me, those are two very different things. I think it's less important that it feel balanced with smaller bits. You're not going to notice it as much. But when we're talking about large pieces of furniture, yes, I think you absolutely, your instinct was to spread it out and to balance it across the room, and I think that works as well. And the other thing about the black too, you can just sprinkle it in small ways, but you could also go bigger like you did with three large pieces. And but also, I think the thing to think about is it makes more of an impact if you do it in a bigger way. And I actually went a little different direction with the black. I don't have a lot in my house, but I definitely have bits here and there. And our study, I have some black leather French chairs at a table. And I kind of realized at some point I had all this black and white artwork that they were architectural prints, and I had them spread around my house. Well, I put them all in the study.
Ooh,
it's a repeating pattern in the room, and it actually really, it makes more of an impact when you have basically a grouping of things. So it actually, you kind of realize at some point, oh, all the artwork in here is black and white, and it works. So, I mean, that's something else that you could do.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea. So black, just getting back to the history of it, which we always like to add in a little bit of that. It started out as a cloth dye in the 14th century. It became a paint color in the 17th century, and then at that time was used primarily for chimney backs, which is a great place to use it today, and woodwork. So if you're going to use it in your chimney back, please use the high heat black paint. As a little extra tip there. One of our listeners who has used black paint to such fabulous effect is Emily W. Emily emailed us and we've been emailing back and forth over the years. Emily's been a longtime listener, and we appreciate that very much. But she recently emailed us with photos of her flip-flopped dining room and family room. So she took over her dining room and made it into the family room. And in her light and bright house, as she said, she painted the walls black. Oh my goodness. What an incredible transformation of this room, and great use of the dining room as the family room as well. But the black walls look so fantastic. And the way she appointed the room, it looked like it was in a magazine. So gorgeous. So we let her know that via email, but I did want to highlight that here because Emily took the plunge. The black paint really paid off for her. It looks fantastic.
So you've gone over one of the first ways that you can add black to a room. That is to paint the walls black. It done right, I think it can be very stunning, like in Emily's room. This is something that you could do in a small bathroom, maybe in a study. If you have a very contemporary home, I think you could put it in just about any room. It can work, and it can work with a classic look as well. but it's not going to be a feminine look. It's going to look more masculine. So just keep that in mind.
Yes, and you can counterbalance the masculine feel with it with some of maybe Anita's little French chairs or things like that. So you can soften it up in that way as well. But yes, painting the walls black, very dramatic. I'm thinking about that for my laundry room, which is sandwiched in between two spaces, and it has no natural light, it has no window. And I thought, let me just go deep into it. And I'm really thinking I'm going to get to that this spring. And Emily definitely inspired me. So painting it on the walls, yes. You could also have larger pieces of furniture, of course, as we mentioned, but smaller pieces of furniture can easily be painted black. And that's a low cost, usually low effort, especially if you use spray paint, way to get that done. So you could use little end tables, even tinier decor pieces, frames can be painted black. So you could have something you already own and then just give it a try. That's an easy way to dip your toe into adding black to a room without any additional cost. Lampshades are a great option in black. They look really, really nice on just about any lamp. It's going to definitely play off a metal lamp, a brass lamp, or one of our gourd lamps that we love. And if you're looking for black lampshades, it's wonderful to be able to get them when the interior of the shade is gold foil, because that type of light is just really, really lovely.
I have black lamps and black lampshades as well on my list. So I think that is a great way to add black to a room. And another thing that you can do is add a black window frame. I don't mean adding it, but painting your window frames black. And it's said that if you paint your window frames white, you look at the frames, but if you paint them black, you look beyond out into your view. So if you have a beautiful view, then maybe if you paint the frames black, that will draw your eye out there.
And another place that you could use black on the walls is in the hallway. That's sort of a nice palette cleanse in a way. And it's a way to introduce black in a very bold way on the walls, but it's not a room that you're necessarily going to be spending a whole lot of time in through. It's a pass-through room. So I think that could be a really interesting way to incorporate black wall paint into your home. Anita mentioned in a powder room. I think that's a fantastic place to do it. How about a bathroom vanity in that powder room? Another kind of mid-entry level into adding black. And I think it can be really stunning.
Oh, yeah. And what about a black and white kitchen? I mean, I think this would be so beautiful. So if you had, black cabinetry with white tile and a white floor or a wood floor. I mean, you can do it the other way around and have white cabinetry with maybe a very dark gray or even black countertop. There's so many ways to make this work. And I actually did my kitchen in our mountain house. I went with a very dark charcoal gray on the countertops and on the cabinetry with white tile. It's not actually black, but it kind of has that feel to it because it's so dark. So this is really a very beautiful, very different approach to take. If you feel like that's too much, you don't want to repaint all your cabinetry, what about just going black on the island? I think that would be really beautiful.
I kind of think my next kitchen, if I get to have a next kitchen somewhere or an extra kitchen somewhere, I'd love to try it in black. I have the white kitchen with a lot of black in it right now, but I would love to do the flip-flop and see how I felt with black cabinetry. I think that would be really interesting.
I think it'd be very bold. It would definitely make a statement.
I picture it more in like a smaller place, like a pied-à-terre or something like that, an urban apartment or condo. So if I can't do it for myself, maybe I can talk one of my clients into that because I would love it. Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. So have you tried Dupe yet? If you haven't, come on, dupe.com. It is going to be your new shopping best friend. And it's not just for furniture. I know I've shared with you about my coffee table dupe, but you can save money with Dupe on fashion, shoes, jewelry, and more. I just used Dupe to find an absolute perfect twin of this t-shirt that I wanted. It was an $80 t-shirt. I was not going to pay $80 for a t-shirt. Dupe helped me find the twin, like maybe the exact same shirt. Find something you love, and then you can find replicas, twins, and maybe the exact thing for so much less. Give Dupe a try today. It is really so easy to use. You just type dupe.com// before any product URL in your browser, and voila, it instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account is required. No sign up is required. It is completely free. I know, can you believe it? But it is completely free to use. Stop wasting money on brand names and start saving with dupe.com today. Another way to use it is in a north-facing room, like I mentioned about the laundry room that I have that gets no natural light. A room like that gets low or no natural light, you can just lean into the dark and try it. There is a couple of black paints that I really love. The Benjamin Moore, aptly named Black. So that's just the name of the color.
That's basic.
Okay, so that is a really lovely black. But Benjamin Moore also has an onyx black, which I would liken to a very dark lead pencil. It's got a, I don't want to say shimmer because that might turn some people off, and that's not really what it's doing, but there's some sort of sheen to it, almost like the lead of a pencil, and it's beautiful. It's clearly black, but it's got something in it that is kind of a little reflective. That's a beautiful, beautiful color, and I've used that personally a couple of times. I've did the spiral staircase in that black, and it's gorgeous. The thing about blacks, too, is that there's an undertone to them. So it's usually purple, green, or blue. So you want to pay attention to that, like we've told you about all paints, but particularly whites. You want to worry about the undertones to get it right. Similar thing with black.
Very true. What about a black and white floor? And I love a black and white floor. In fact, in our old house, I had black and white hex tiles in the floors of the laundry room and a bathroom, I guess a couple of bathrooms. And we even, they pop out some of the white tiles and put in the black to make little flowers, or you can do other patterns. But the hex tile is such a classic, or you can get some that are black and white patterned tile. There's a lot of different ways you can go here, or mixing black and white. I think it's such a clean, beautiful look in a bathroom, in a laundry room, in a mud room. It's really pretty.
Oh, I love those little hex tiles with the little black inserts. And that's a way where you might not even consider like, oh, I'm bringing black into my look, but you are. And the repeat of those little tiles within the white hexes will definitely add to the room and do that thing that only black can do in a room. So definitely that's a great way to use it as well. When you're using the black paint, of course, you can go matte. You can do a semi-gloss. You can also do a lacquer, which is really reflective. So you might see that more often in pieces of decor, and it's sometimes referred to as a Japanese lacquer, the Japanese black. So think of like a bento box. So that's a beautiful way to add some black to a room in a smaller decor piece because it's really reflective. So you're getting not only the boldness of the black and what that's doing for the room, but you're also getting this reflective quality. Another place you might want to use black is in built-in bookcases. That could really be effective. And then you're not committing to the walls. And maybe there are even bookcases you could take with you if you moved away, if they were detachable. And it's also something you could change down the line if you wanted to switch it up again. But that's a great place to use black. And then imagine how great either the books or the decor pieces that you're putting on the bookcase and in the bookcase would look against that black backdrop.
What about a black chair? And I did mention my French chairs that have the black leather on them, but you could even get a black club chair. There's some really beautiful black leather chairs that you can get. I think that's a great way to add black to a room. But there's so many chairs that have a touch of black. So there's a lot of different ways to go here. Even maybe a French bistro chair that is black and white.
I have a black chair at the end to share. I love that idea. And the club chair just sounds really cozy. And that would be a wonderful way to bring in some black. And of course, our faves, you could add some black in pillow covers or throws. And it doesn't have to be solid. You could just do a pattern that is primarily black that has the black background. And that would be a great way to introduce it in a really simple, not a big commitment, and probably at a lower price point than, of course, adding a piece of furniture, unless you got a little thrifted piece or a little consigned piece that you converted to a black piece. Up a staircase could also be a great way to use black. Sometimes that staircase wall, it might be a solid wall, it might have a window in it, but it's kind of onto itself, and there might be a natural stop and start to it. So whereas we're tending away from the accent walls these days, just for the sake of having an accent wall, but that type of wall is unique. Because it may have it definitely will have a shape to it because it's running the line of the stairs. It's also a place where oftentimes people want to hang artwork, or if they want to try out the gallery wall, that's a great place to do that thing. And against a black painted wall, all your art and your photographs, particularly if they're black and whites, will really pop. So that's a fun place to do it. And also the staircase, I've done all my treads in black in our both front and back staircase. It's graphic, but it's subtle in the sense that it's not a piece of furniture in your room. It's not a black and white floor. It's a smaller area, but you're definitely getting that graphic punch, and you're introducing the black color.
What about an iron and brass bed? We have one, and I just love it. And especially with the brass accents, it really kind of brings it up a little bit. It makes it feel a little dressier.
Well, you're bringing up one of my favorite pairings is black and the patinaed brass. That is such a fantastic look. And that can be very contemporary looking. I have a tray where I'm going to talk about it at the end that's really contemporary looking, and it's sort of that combo. Or it can be, in my case, even have a Victorian feel to it, depending on how the metal is designed. If there's a little scroll or it's a more patinaed, and then you pair it with the black, it has a older look, it has a more vintage look, but it can really go with any style, but those two items together. And with that, I would also bring in some warm and medium wood tones. I think that's a nice way to soften up the black in a sense and make it a little bit more approachable, add a little warmth to it. Same way with sort of the honey wheat colors. That looks great with black and then the gold. So I love all of that together. And of course, crisp white. You can't go wrong with the black and white combination ever. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I like to add in pops of green. So that is really my favorite combinations with blacks, is the patinaed brass, warm wood tones, the honey wheat colors, crisp white, and then a pop of green. Absolutely love that combination.
Yes, you really love using black in your home, and I think it is beautiful. I mean, there's definitely so many different ways you can go with that. And it's a neutral, so you can put this with just about any color.
And we have to tell you, the TV doesn't count. So if you just got a big black TV, I don't think that really counts.
Yeah, the big black hole.
Yeah, that can't be your pop of black in the room. It can add to it, I guess. I would not have the TV standalone as my pop of black in a room, nor sort of in the same vein would I count the back of the fireplace if that's painted black. Not necessarily going to count that sort of black hole as the black in the room, but it can add to the cohesive nature of the palette if you're adding some black in other places in the room.
I think it would be beautiful to have a black bookcase, or a bookcase built in or freestanding black bookcase with white pieces in it. And it could be like cake plates and bowls and things, but it doesn't have to be dishes. It could be something else that's white vases, some other white accessories that contrast with the white. And it's really going to draw your eye to whatever it is that you're putting in the bookcase.
So now you're leading me so nicely into my items. One of my items is the black bookcase that I purchased for my living room. I found it, again, even though I bought that years ago. I was so hesitant to add it or anything. I didn't know what to add to the end of that room. I really struggled with that room. It's very challenging. And I know some of our clients have also long, narrow living rooms or clients and listeners, actually. So I'm there with you. I can empathize. It's a hard type of space to decorate. The bookcase did such a great job in not only balancing the black sofa, like I mentioned, but also adding some height and adding some gravitas, some weight to that end of the room. And it's such a pretty bookcase. So it's by Hooker. It's kind of got wispy, very light gold detailing, kind of scrolly. I would not say flowers, but it's got something, but it's very subtle. And it's a really nice shape. It's got some fluted moldings on the sides. And so I'll add that link to the show notes so you guys can have a look.
That sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really pretty one.
So I found architectural prints, a set of 6 unframed 8x10 prints on Etsy for less than $50. So you're going to need to buy some simple frames, but these are really beautiful, and I think they would give a very classic feeling to just about any room.
So they're like architectural drawings?
Yes. So it kind of shows the front elevation, and then it shows an overhead of the layout of the exterior walls.
That leads me to one that I didn't have already on my list, but maps are great. Oftentimes a map's going to come in black and white. So that's a really fun thing to add to your space. Personalize it, whether it's where you're living now or a place that you love or where you grew up. So that's a great option as well. I think we both were talking about accent chairs. I have one that I have to say I might be lusting over this chair. I really want this chair. I have that chair in the kitchen. Everybody uses it. It is really probably time to replace it. But my family was like, no, this is the chair. But I'm like, no, we could get a new one. So I'm waiting because it's not inexpensive. And the one that I have now was very inexpensive. So I'm kind of waiting a little while to get this one. But a number of companies sell it. I saw it on Birch Lane. I think that's the link that I'm going to add to the show notes. They call it the peppercorns black, and it's got just very minimal neutral striping in it. It's just got great spindly legs, and it's a terrific design. But any black accent chair would be a terrific addition to any space, and you can get them at a pretty reasonable price.
I love your map idea. In fact, I have a 30 by 40 framed map of Paris, from, I don't know, it was 1400 something. I don't know. The map is very old. I can't remember what year it is, but it's really interesting, and it worked very well above some very busy bedding on a bed. So it was going to be hard to find some artwork that wasn't going to clash with the bedding. So if you have a situation like that, something very busy in the room, it's kind of nice to have a black and white print like a map because it's not going to fight with it as far as the colors go. So I love that idea. And because it's so large, it definitely makes a statement in the room. And as far as the chairs go, I just love a black chair too. And so I did include a link to some black and white French bistro chairs that are beautiful. Now, I bought a set of these in blue and white. These are Safavia, and they come fully assembled. Well, I bought 2 sets of these, but my initial set I bought years ago, and they've held up very well, and they've been outside this entire time. So
oh, wow.
That's why I went ahead and bought some more. Yeah, so these are really very nice.
So are they those sort of Riviera bistro chairs, the woven ones that we love?
Yes, like the chairs that you would sit in if you were on the Champs-Élysées eating
Absolutely,
outside.
darling.
You would have stopped at the creperie, and then sat down. This would be the kind of, or, just, you're in Paris and it's a busy street. This is the kind of chair you might be sitting in.
And you've had those outside for all that time?
Yes, actually,
wow.
I had worked with, I'm not going to say the company because now I can't remember. So they actually gave them to me, but then I found the exact same ones on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Yes, they had been on my back porch at my farm for, at least 4 years.
Wow. Okay. So, because I would think those might not hold up, but that's great to know.
Yeah, they did. And that's why I'm like, okay, these are well made. I'm going to get some more.
Good one. Okay, so I mentioned a tray earlier. I think I actually put 2 in the show notes, or I plan to have Anita do it because she does the show notes.
Yes.
It's a Shaw Green, which I know you defined some time ago for us. Gold-handled black tray, really beautiful. And then there's another one that's a hex shaped. It's from Kate and Laurel, which we kind of love their storefront. Whether they're actual people, I don't know, or they're Amazon made up people.
You don't think there's a Kate and a Laurel?
Making those trays for $34 or whatever they are. Yes, by hand. But it's a beautiful tray. And that's definitely lends a more contemporary look because the gold is rounded and finished off and shiny. So it doesn't have an antique feel to it. And the black is lacquered. So it's really gorgeous. So that in and of itself could be not only the modern pop, but also the black pop that your room is crying out for.
I love those lacquered trays. They're so beautiful. And I love the idea of the black lampshades. I found some contemporary brass lamps with black lampshades, and the lampshades are rectangular shaped, and I love that shape. So I think that's very unique. I think that really adds a kind of a different feel to your room. And these actually have a place for you to plug in your phone chargers or iPad chargers to it too. And these are on Amazon, and I will include a link.
I don't have any lamps that do that, but I've seen those lamps that do that. Do you have any that have that functionality?
No, because mine are very Frenchy lamps. They don't come that way.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I didn't buy this pair from Amazon. I bought them from a flea market. Yeah, so that's not going to work out. But it is a great idea, and then you don't have to have all the cords all over the place. So it's something to think about. I have a lampshade. It is black with gold trim, and I chose this one to share because it comes in a bunch of different sizes. So it comes in an 8-inch, a 10-inch, and a 14-inch, and it's a drum shade. It doesn't have that gold foil inside of it, but it does have a sort of a patinaed, muted gold piece of metal around the bottom and the top. So it's a really good-looking shade for not a lot of money.
I also found a beautiful 10-inch pendant light, and the shade, if you will, the glass kind of half globe around the light is black, and then there's some hardware above it that is brass, and then the rod is brass. It's really very pretty. I think this would be great in a kitchen, in a laundry room, maybe in a hallway. It's really beautiful.
Oh, wow. Glass shade is black.
The dome is black, and it has brass around the edge.
Right.
And then the hardware up at the top. It kind of has some extra detail at the top.
That's cool. You don't see that very often.
No, but these are really pretty. These, I've seen them in black, very plain ones, but not with this kind of detail on them.
Well, I can't wait till those show notes come out. I'm going to check that out for sure.
Yeah, you'll like this one, I think.
So what are we defining today?
I thought it was time to define damask.
Damn it, it has been time. We've been all waiting.
So this is a reversible fabric that features a pattern woven in thin layers on the fabric using a jacquard loom. I'm sure you've seen it. It's a fabric that has a pattern on it, but it's woven into the fabric. Often this is just one color, but because the threads are going different ways, you can see the pattern. So the history of it goes all the way back to China around 300 BC. So they've been making this type fabric for a long time. But it wasn't until it was made in Syria centuries later that it became popular. And then it was named damask because it was named for the city of
Damascus.
Damascus, there you go.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay.
Right, where damask tiles were made from the Middle Ages onward. And in the early days, they were just made in silk. When they made their way to Europe in the 14th century, they were crafted on Italian draw looms, which allowed for the creation of more intricate patterns. And then in the early 19th century, the invention of the jacquard loom in France simplified the process and introduced the weaving technique used to make modern damask fabrics. So now they can be found in other fibers such as cotton and wool and synthetics.
Wow, that is interesting. And we got a lot of info. Thank you. Good to know.
So tell me, what is your crush for today?
Oh, a book that I just listened to. So I would recommend listening if you can, because the narrator is so good and you get the accent. But I'm sure if you read this book, traditional reading the book or on a Kindle, you would really enjoy it as well. It's from an author that I am a total fangirl of, Niall Williams. I think I talked about This Is Happiness, which was another of his books. This is called History of the Rain. Absolutely loved this story, loved the narration. I didn't want it to end. So I highly recommend The History of the Rain by Niall Williams, and we'll have the link in the show notes.
My crush is a YouTube video. It is called The Top 10 Nancy Meyers Movie Houses. It's on the House Beautiful channel. So it was very fun revisiting all these houses that she used in all these movies. These are all beautiful homes. Just be careful. You're going to want to redo your kitchen.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But then you're going to go, I don't know. I want it this way this week. And then next week I want the other kitchen. And then the next week I want the other kitchen. That's the problem there. I'll stick with my kitchen, but it's really fun. They're all beautiful. It's great inspiration and just fun. A fun video to watch.
Oh, that's going to be great. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.